With track 3 of an album, you're still kind of at the beginning, kind of learning what you're about to get into, but now you're finally into it. This is still an introductory song to the rest of the album's type of tone, but now you kind of really know what you're going to get into, and this song generally could be the best from an album, a single from an album, or just widely regarded as one of the best. So here we go. Today, I'm going to be going over every single track 3 from a 21 Pilots album. My name is Randy, otherwise known as SKR Studios. This is part 3 of a 14-part series that I'm going over for every single song on an album from 21 Pilots. And I think that's everything I need to cover, so here we go. We have the Pantaloon from Self-Titled first, and this one honestly is one of my least favorite 21 Pilots songs. It still carries over the piano ballad and rap from Implicit and Fall Away, and it's still going over the same type of themes. It's just that Tyler can't really sing in this one, and I don't enjoy the instrumental, so it's not one of my personal favorites. It does have 60 million streams on Spotify, and for one of these old songs, that is pretty good. It's towards the lesser half of stream songs from Self-Titled, but I know that a lot of people really like this one. They regard it pretty highly, and it's just not for me, but I can see how for the album it does stay on theme and stay on track in terms of sound. For Vessel, we have Migraine. This arguably is the best song from Vessel. It still is dealing with the night cycle. It's still dealing with Tyler's brain and his inner thoughts, and he's just kind of rapping it and spewing it out over these electric buzzy beats that are present in Holding On To You and Ode to Sleep. This has 260 million streams on Spotify. That is a pretty highly streamed one from Vessel. It's considered one of the classic 21 Pilots songs. I think it builds off of Ode to Sleep and Holding On To You perfectly. I think it just is a Vessel song. You listen to this and you can just immediately tell what album it's from, even if you didn't know what album it was from, but you knew 21 Pilots as a band. So Migraine, it's just one of those perfect ones. From Blurryface, we have Ride. Of course, this is probably the second or third most popular 21 Pilots song. It's from Blurryface. It has that Blurryface poppy sort of sound to it. It has more rap, kind of introduced in Heavy Dirty Soul and Stressed Out, but I think it builds off of Stressed Out a little better. It's got reggae influences, but it's not too heavy. It still kind of has the same sort of demeanor and tone as Stressed Out in that whole introducing you to Blurryface type of vibe and the concept of this album. Heavy Dirty Soul, not the greatest introduction for Blurryface as an album. Stressed Out is better to, keep it going along. It's got more pop influences. It is more Blurryface, and then Ride just continues off of Stressed Out and is more Blurryface, and it continues the momentum, and it's just going to keep going and going on this album. And while I don't like Blurryface as much as an album, Ride is just, it fits in Blurryface. A lot of these track 3 songs really are an establishing moment for the album, where you can tell what the album is going to sound like and going to deal with for the rest of the album. Some of them aren't, but a lot of the ones I already talked about pretty much are. Morph is kind of like Ride in a way, where it kind of introduces you to something that you're going to see later on the album. Morph mentions Nicholas Bourbaki or Nico or Blurryface, and there's a whole song called Nico and the Niners on this album. I don't know if it was done intentionally, but Nico and the Niners came out first as a single, so by the time we heard Morph, we already kind of knew about Nico. And I feel like that made it hit more. But as an introduction to this album, Nico is an essential part of the lore, so mentioning him in track 3 makes a lot of sense. This one has 153 million streams on Spotify. It's widely regarded as one of the top 3 songs from Trench, and a lot of people think it's one of the best produced 21 Pilots songs of all time. I agree with that. I think this is probably my favorite track 3 by far. But Trench has that darker sound, and it has the certain cadence with the rap, and that's definitely apparent here. This is still building off of what Jumpsuit and Levitate introduced, but now it's kind of fully fleshing it out, and we'll see with My Blood, it takes the high note from Morph, and My Blood has that same high note, same falsetto, and it just kind of, each song off Trench is building off one another, and they all have this synergy where it just kind of flows together perfectly in the track list from 1 to 14. And a lot of the other albums that 21 Pilots have produced don't really have that same sort of flow, but Trench is one where you have to mention it's kind of perfect from song to song, how it introduces a new sort of sound, but also has a sound from the past song. So with Jumpsuit into Levitate, obviously it flows in together, and then Levitate into Morph, you still have that rap cadence and that just crazy beat, and Josh is going crazy on the drums. This is also the song in Trench where Josh is mentioned by name. Track 3 from Scaled and Icy is the most popular from Scaled and Icy, and that will never change. It has 208 million streams on Spotify. It's Shy Away. Shy Away builds off of Good Day and Choker. While Good Day was a great introduction, Choker kind of brought it back to telling you this is still 21 Pilots, and Shy Away is telling you kind of a mixture of the two, where this is very 80s sounding and very pop sounding, but it's still 21 Pilots, and it still has those 21 Pilots influences with the screaming in the background and the crazy drums. And I think it was a perfect way to introduce the era of Scaled and Icy. That doesn't really have to do with the track placement, but I did want to say that. And Shy Away, it just is one of those essential 21 Pilot songs. It would be one of the first ones I would show somebody, and I think that the band realizes that too. It's one of those staple songs for a set list. They said when they made Scaled and Icy, they weren't sure which songs would be the ones that they would want to keep playing live from this album, since it was made in a very weird place with live music not in mind, and Shy Away and Mulberry Street were those two that just bring that live energy, and I completely agree. So Backslide is an interesting one because it doesn't feel like it would be a track 3. The way that the rollout for Clancy came out was single 1 was Overcompensate, single 2 was Next Semester, and single 3 was Backslide. None of them really sound the same. Overcompensate and Backslide kind of have the same sort of rap flow where I wouldn't say it's choppy, but it kind of has a different cadence to it where words are put where you wouldn't think words would go. So that has some synergy there, but Backslide sounds nothing like Next Semester. If anything, I feel like Backslide should be track 2 and Next Semester should be track 3, because Overcompensate to Backslide is kind of better flow, but Next Semester is kind of more of what the album is going for, so it's a little tricky here. Backslide has 42 million streams on Spotify. I say that's pretty good. That's pretty close to Next Semester. This one only came out 5 months ago, and it has more streams than some things from Scaled and Icy, of course, but Backslide as a song, I always say it's like Stressed Out's older brother. It has the higher level production quality of Clancy. You can tell it's not a Trench song with the sort of darker production because it does sort of have the more upbeat style. I think that the end where it goes into the little piano synthy solo for a quick second, that's a perfect kind of introduction to what you're going to get in Midwest Indigo, and I think that Backslide to Midwest Indigo is a pretty good pairing there with the way Backslide ends and Midwest starts. But I still think that it's weird putting this at number 3, or maybe if Vignette was number 2 and Next Semester was number 6, maybe that would make more sense. I don't know. Clancy just is kind of weird in the way that its album goes down in the track list. I was talking about Trench earlier and how it feels kind of perfect in the way it goes down, and Vessel kind of feels that way too. But Clancy, it's kind of weird. It feels like the songs are kind of just scattered. So I don't know. Maybe that's a hot take, but I still think Backslide is a great song, and it's the most recent track 3 that we have. So if you're subscribed to me or you've been watching this series, you know that I put polls out, and you guys voted what your favorite track 3 song was, and Morph by a wide margin, 46% is on top. Then Migraine is at 18%. Backslide and Ride are tied at 13%, and Shy Away is at 10%. Those are the 5 that I included. I didn't include the Pantaloon since I don't like it very much, and most people know the more recent songs instead of the older ones, but Morph, obviously, that's the one that really is the staple track 3. I've been doing a track bracket where I take your favorite track of the ones that I put in, and Morph won track 3, so it's going on, and then it's beat Taxi Cab, and it looks like it might beat Jumpsuit and be in the top 3 of this bracket. So we'll see what goes on. But Morph really is an essential 21 Pilots song. A lot of people love it. And track 3 in terms of 21 Pilots albums, seems like there's a lot of bangers here, and a lot of people really love these track 3s. I'm interested to see how Backslide's going to age, but until then, I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. I love all of you. And until next week, I'll see you.